It's the Critical Plug, and I'm back again. Fuck another war, we all know how it ends. And I'm coming back to you to give you a brand new review of the new Kanye West album, Bully. This is the newest album from Kanye, the 16th album, if I'm not mistaken, if you're not counting that horrid, poor excuse of an album, which has a name I will not repeat, and had lyrics and subject matter that I can't repeat either, or I won't repeat, but let's just say the tracks had High Old Mustache Man and also the good old song where he talks about being incestuous with his cousin. And honestly, I was super hesitant to review this LP as I heard it had AI, but apparently the AI has been stripped out, thank God. And with him constantly putting out LPs that have been his absolute worst, not only his worst, but worst albums of the decade, it's really no surprise that I wouldn't want to review this, or anyone would want to review this for that matter, had they not known what they were getting themselves into. Because again, I was like, okay, are we going to hear like a bunch of Mustache Man bars? Are we going to hear a bunch of Nazi apologia shit? After listening to this, it's pretty clear we're getting your classic Kanye meta commentary here, spirituality, and delivering an 18-track album, 45 minutes of runtime. And after listening to this a bunch of times, my feelings are honestly mixed. I feel like Kanye is more coherent here, and I also feel like the production is better here, and he's not dropping any Nazi bars, he's not dropping any anti-Semitic bars, which is great. But I just find these tracks kind of decent at best. And while it is a return to form for Kanye, I think that's really all this album pretty much offers. And while he's not dropping anything super cringeworthy except for the Martin Luther King White Queen bar, yeah, like with him being such a excellent activist, fighting for healthcare for all, civil rights, higher wages, I'm pretty sure the last thing on his mind was Kanye and his White Queen. And I feel like me saying this album would be fire based off of, and I feel like saying this album's fire merely off of him rapping more coherently, him being more lyrically inclined, and him being more selective of better production choices and not saying anything problematic as much, I feel would be the equivalent of giving him an award for washing his hands after taking a shit. Another thing too, which I'm sure people will probably get upset with me about, is how Kanye isn't really much of the actor. He's more of a curator, a director. So this is basically the equivalent of Quentin Tarantino making a movie where he's just adding other directors and just starring himself. And that's pretty much it, because on this, there's really no other talent or features on here that bolster what this album could have been, because this album could have been good at best. But with the appearances of Travis Scott, for example, on Father, it just to me sounds like two directors who are trying to act in a movie but can't exactly act. Which is disappointing because Travis and Kanye, when they're in their bag, they could bring something cinematic, so blockbuster, very epic, but we don't get that here at all. It just sounds like a demo and just an idea in opposed to a fleshed out track. Not to mention the horrendous bar Back to Life like an EpiPen, which honestly should probably make someone think twice before dining out with Kanye. Not to mention there's not really much of a hook here, and Travis just sounds like he's trying to interpolate what Kanye's saying or do something that complements it, but it's just a bunch of weak bars from Travis really sounding like just a weak imitation. And then we get this weird clip from a viral interview with James Brown, which adds absolutely nothing to the track. And the title track, which lacks severe self-awareness. And why? Why does CeeLo sound like he's being fed through a compressor? Why do his vocals sound so fried here and so hideous? Like they sound almost AI, like so robotic, so stiff. Hey, do what I say. But I will say here, in many respects, Kanye is getting back on the saddle when it comes to melody here. He does have a knack for melody, but unfortunately, I don't think he knows how to construct a song anymore. Like, there's a severe case of weak song structure here. But I can admit, though, cousin of Roger Troutman, Talkbox legend Roger Troutman, has a cousin, Andre Troutman, who makes an appearance here and actually meshes well with Kanye. Not so much on White Lines, that has this very boring, tedious, ill-conceived, convoluted interpolation of the Carpenters' Why Do Birds Appear? But the problem is, when he's going melodic and nail it, when he's going melodic, he does find the melody, sure, but the lyrics are so vapid, so repetitious, to a point where it's like, okay, you're just leaning off of the fact that the melody's working, but not really adding too much else. And a lot of these songs, as much as Kanye is getting back in the right direction, kind of sound like afterthoughts. Like the song All the Love just sounds like an afterthought off of 808 and Heartbreaks. And there's quite a few examples of that here. And while I do admire Kanye getting back into chipmunk soul and addressing social issues, why does he do these songs where he has a start to it, but there's only one verse and the hook, and the rest of it is just missing? It's not exactly finished. And while the following track, Whatever Works, does have some clever bars, and I do think production-wise, he really does get back into chipmunk soul, it is just nailed by tedious meta commentary that's just so uninteresting to me. Not to mention the victim complex he puts in the lyrics here, followed up with the gaslighting of his audience. And there's a lot of tracks here that suffer from one verse and one hook, or sometimes go into two verses but no final hook and just end abruptly. And there are some production choices that are an absolute mess. And there are some production choices that are just an absolute mess, like Mama's Favorite, where it has potential at first, but what happened to the drums here? The drums, as soon as the drums come in, they're just so out of whack and really throw off what could have been a beautiful track. Not only that, but the track ends with a clip of his mother speaking to him, his late mother, Donda, speaking to him, congratulating him and giving him a pat on the back and encouragement, but also there's really no sense of accountability here, of saying he's doing something wrong. But I get it, because in that time when she was alive, he was more mentally coherent. And I feel to put that here, where Kanye is definitely not immune to being held accountable. He definitely should be. That's why it just really rubs me the wrong way how you would use this clip of being praised when you haven't really shown why you should be praised, when you haven't really fixed the mess or put out the fire that you started. Sure, you did an apology, that's fine, but what else do you have there? There's really no other redeeming quality, I could say, where Kanye should get this pat on the back. And look, I'm glad he's going in the right direction here, but there is, again, times where it seems like he's, yes, apologized, but there's nothing else here that's really compelling to me, something that's moving to me. It just sounds so unfinished, and it just sounds like the horrible things he said, the egregious things he said and done, never really happened. And that bothers me, because it just sounds like he's jumped in and said, hey guys, Everything's fine. I've always been normal this whole entire time. Haha. But the oddest fit here, in my opinion, that's so ill-fitting for this LP is Kanye's attempt at Latin pop on the song Last Breath with Peso Pluma. Like, it just sounds so Chat GPT. It sounds like he just typed in how to speak Spanish in Chat GPT because the lyrics are so basic. And I don't really think Peso Pluma brings much here in terms of a highlight of vocals. He just sounds very tacked on. Like, this really just sounds like the Taco Bellification of Latin music here. And while the closer here is somewhat of an epic closer, it's pretty much too little too late. And look, I get it. This is the best he's put out since releasing absolute trash. But there is no reason why these songs shouldn't be finished. There's no reason why we should say this is one of his best when it's not. And I do appreciate that he's going in the right direction. But that doesn't mean I'm going to say these tracks are great. I'm going to not say these tracks compete with anything he was doing in his early catalog. If you're a Kanye fan, you should know that. From College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, even Life of Pablo, it just doesn't compete. So honestly, if I'm going to be charitable here and give credit where it's due and be fair, I am feeling a 1.5 out of 5 stars on this LP. But if you've given this a listen, what did you think? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. The critical plug, hit me with a sub, show me love. Even if you hate my opinion, your view's still a dub. Caspa, critical plug, Kanye West, Bully. Till we meet again.